You have to pick one. You can't have both. Looks as if their cameras go about as high as most hot air balloons do before they burst. Who do they think they're fooling? But let me guess. You saw the curvature in the images from satellites. The thousands of magical orbiting aluminum tin cans floating in space. It's all animation and games until one comes crashing down on your squad. Many crashed satellites have been reported the world over. And the one thing they all have in common is giant helium balloons attached to them. Of course, satellite technology is real. We get our weather information, communication equipment, and even some internet service from them. Look up Google Loon, for example. It's not that they wouldn't use the magical floating satellites if they could, it's that they don't physically exist, nor does the globe. They have been sending these up one at a time since it all began. I will allow them to explain it.
And he got a patent on that in 1950. And those early balloons were so large, they didn't have any way to launch them, except they actually launched them from aircraft carriers.
Modern scientific ballooning was born. It was also the genesis for NASA's newly developed super pressure balloon.
The reason for superpressure ballooning is they have absolutely stable altitude, day, night, and it doesn't matter how cold the atmosphere is. They are sealed.
So your shape is always the same, you always displace the same amount of air, and therefore you have the same amount of buoyancy all the time.
This day-to-night altitude stability allows superpressure balloons and the sun.
Hi, I'm Matt, and this is NASA Now.
NASA's been using balloons for science research for over 30 years. The exploration that can be done on balloons is continuing to grow. The standard balloon that I fly is about 660 feet long when it's made. So when it's inflated, it's over 400 feet tall by 440 feet wide. Think of a dome stadium. That's how big my balloons are.
So let me get this straight. It is now public knowledge that they send up satellites on massive helium-filled balloons. As you should know, NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world, for obvious reasons. But the issue with society is that they never critically think. Just think for a second here. If these are sent up to provide the world with all of the important information we need, and I'm sure the entire process is expensive and difficult to accomplish, then please explain to me what in the flat world do these pathetic animations do for you? Do they make you happy inside? Are they so super duper cool that you cannot see past the obvious CGI? The fact of the matter is everything NASA sends up on a balloon simply hovers above our motionless Earth. That is why they rarely speak about orbiting satellites, and of course, they never show footage. Here is some footage of a random evening with a man, the moon, and his Nikon P900. Notice anything floating up there?
Forget it, Bart. It's so bright out you can't see anything in the sky except the Fox satellite.
Another remarkable fact about NASA's balloon launches is that many are launched from Antarctica. Is it because we cannot travel past certain parallels to witness their launches with our own eyes? What else are they hiding from us over there? It would be nice if someone was allowed to truly explore Antarctica again. It sure has been a while since the last guy.
Greetings to you, my young friend.
Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. Strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an as big as that, unexplored. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime, because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources. An area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
Since late 2014, one of the biggest things I've heard, the Earth is flat. Why don't you find the edge and fall off? Why don't you make up an expedition and gather people and go find the edge and take a picture of the edge? Well, my response is, can you fall off the edge of a lake, a pond, an ocean? Let's see if you have any imagination left in that brain of yours. And pretend this is all the water in the world. This is the 71% covered earth-filled pond. All the water of the world. So let's just say this is trillions upon trillions upon trillions of gallons. You've got the continents, the islands in the middle. In the center where all compasses point, you can circumnavigate, circle the lake or the pond left or right. But as you venture outwards, towards the banks, towards outer space, what happens? Once you pass that 60th degree parallel and you hit the ice wall, the ice cliff of Antarctica, what happens? Do you fall off the edge? Is there an edge here?
Is there an edge here?
Because we know the physics of water is to find and maintain level if you've been paying attention. And also water must be contained. It is contained. We climb up the banks and we keep going outward, southward. What happens to their control when millions of people travel
beyond the 60th parallel?
They knew this was going to get out. They knew people were going to wake up. What if Star Wars is true? What if this extraterrestrial, these extra terrains, they're telling us the truth, minus the vacuum of space, because they got to put a Hollywood spin on it, don't they? Star Wars, Star Trek. What if you Globers can have your Star Wars and your Star Trek at the same time? Isn't that awesome? How does that make you feel?
The timeline goes as follows. So in 1955, Operation Deep Freeze starts. And when Admiral Richard Byrd gets back, he comes on live television and tells us he found more land, the size of North America. They quickly start NASA. President Eisenhower calls over the Nazi traitors, Operation Paperclip, to start the upper space mind control program. Don't look out there, look up here. Look, everybody, we're going to the moon. Then, in 1959, 12 nations started the Antarctic Treaty, followed by 42 more nations where they have decided you or I cannot travel or explore any part of Antarctica south or past the 60th parallel without military clearance, without the aid of a guided tour. Do you really think that this is just a coincidence?
More. Imagine they find more land. Imagine there is more land out there, more to explore, more to reside, more resources. You think they tell you and I about it?
I'm sure a lot of you have heard about my $200,000 Globe Challenge. And up to this point, no one has been successful at completing the challenge. We've had a few clowns here and there that have stepped up to the plate. Here we go. And claimed victory. But at the end of the day, you can't make water stick to the bottom of a ball, much less spinning. Okay? You can't show where sea level turns to sea curve. There's no curvature on the x-axis or y-axis.
That stuff is flat.
Here's a fair challenge here for Neil deGrasse Tyson. Why don't you get off your fat, lazy butt and out from behind your screens and your scripts?
Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning, and it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles.
So Earth got a little bit wider at its equator than it did pole to pole.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out.
Like spinning pizza dough, it just gets flat.
If you were a cosmic giant and you came up to Earth and you rubbed your finger over Earth's surface, it would feel as smooth as a cue ball to you.
Wow.
If you shrunk Earth down to the size of a cue ball, it would be one of the smoothest, roundest cue balls ever made. That's how round Earth is. So it's not actually a sphere, it's oblate, where it's like pear-shaped.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's funny, 6 years ago I sent a whole bunch of questions for you to answer. And I notice you haven't answered them. You're not a scientist. You're an actor with a couple of science degrees. There's people with those same qualifications flipping burgers in Burger King.
It's like
so you don't impress me.
Neil Disgrace Tyson, you are a lying Jesuit thug and a deceiver. You are a degenerate from. Good luck to all your lying when you're down in doing favours for. And remember my name when you're in there, Santos Bonacci.
Hey Neil, you talk about pears so much. Why don't you try eating a few, you fat That's actually good.
Hey Neil, if the level and motionless plane is so easily debunked, so easily refuted, then why don't you just debate Eric Dubay?
Why don't you get off your fat, lazy butt out from behind your screens and your scripts
and debate Eric Dubay? You've heard the name Eric Dubay, but you're scared. You're chicken. You won't debate Eric Dubay because you don't have a script and lines and people telling you what to say. You know you'll get demolished. Why don't you just come on a podcast or any type of show, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe an hour, if you've got the and debate Eric Dubay.
The earth isn't flat.
See how much of a man you are there, Mr. Mic Drop.
Looks like we're gonna have Eric Dubay, he said he's agreed to do it, talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
What?
Yes. I had asked you to debate one of them flat earth guys.
No, I don't, I can't, no.
I know. We talked about it and we were gonna have him on Skype.
No, what we do is, and I think this is a diabolical plot, so that the next time we can ship people en masse into orbit, they all want to be the first in line because they know we're going to send them so that they can see the round Earth. They're going to be the first ones in space. Just so they can stop annoying the rest of us.
I don't think you're correct.
And I know that you're not correct. Why the backpedaling, Neil? You already agreed to debate me on Joe Rogan's podcast. The show was scheduled, posted on Joe's site, announced on air twice, and then you suddenly decided that you, quote, don't debate flat earthers. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Someone at NASA told Neil, we're not going to let you go head to head with Eric Dubay because he'll make you look foolish. Prove me wrong.
I'm coming with a disruption. With all my flat earth homies on the Hibbler production. Separate fiction from fact, we're gonna end the corruption. Letting people know the earth is flat, end of discussion. Dave Murphy is your teacher, boy, class is in session. And Eddie Bravo's in this mix to teach you, this is a lesson. Tanner Stewart's in the house, he's gonna show you the ropes. He's gonna school you on how NASA's just a joke and a hoax. Let me introduce you to the rest of my posse. We got Johnny G and Papa and Santos Bonacci. We're at the core of the resistance and we'll never obey. And there's my brother from another mother, Eric Dubay. If he debates Neil deGrasse Tyson, he will rip off his head. I'll rap about it on a beat I made and rip it to shreds. If the earth's a globe, then how come they can't give an example? Their lies are flimsy, it's a pity. Come on, get on my level. They say the